That moves us perfectly well onto topic 2 by trying to endorse students to say yes to research or other experiences. Okay. From my experience, students kind of sometimes have regrets when they get to their third year or their master's programs, whereby they reflect and say, well, actually, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have been able to make the time to go and get this experience, or go and work on this paper, or go and ask somebody if I can help them out with something that I'm interested in. And we appreciate that it can always be quite difficult to both make that time. You know, we're in a world where you don't just have your kind of typical student body anymore. You know, there's lots of I don't want to use the word atypical because it's entirely correct, but we have a more non-traditional student body, you know, where perhaps they might be motivation rich but time poor. And so whilst we appreciate that, students who can make that additional time, they benefit so much from going out and getting those volunteering opportunities. They get so much from reaching out to a lecturer or academic and saying, okay, I'm really interested in your body of work. Have you got any upcoming research projects or studies that you need a little bit of help with? And take it from an academic perspective, we really love that. We really love people talking to us about our work, reaching out to us about our work, and just wanting to get involved. And it benefits us in that, you know, we might not have to do data collection over here, or we might not have to do some of the kind of preliminary statistics over here, especially for qualitative data. For me, we all know I'm garbage at it. But for the students, you're able to get that additional mentorship. You're able to get that one-to-one time with an academic, and also you're able to really give yourself an advantage, especially when you are in a research heavy degree and you're coming to your third year and you're trying to put together a research project of your own. Actually having that experience working with an academic, drawing on their insight, and, you know, putting together a research project, a proposal, going to collect data, analyzing a little bit of that data, maybe even getting involved in some of the write-up, it can really put you in an advantageous position for when you do start your third year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point, actually, in terms of it's not just about the CV building aspect of these things, it's about the skills that you're developing along the way. So I think it's really nice when people come to me and ask me about my research. I think academics, to some degree, to do the job, kind of have to like the sound of their own voice a little bit. So any opportunity that I've got to talk about what I'm doing is a bonus for me. But equally, having those extra pair of hands is really good in terms of being able to get more research done, get more work done. And it's really nice when people show an interest in that at a really young age and at a really early point of their career. I think on the flip side of that, when people are very clearly doing that because they want to add a line to their CV, that gets really frustrating, I think, for academics, because at that point, it feels like people are slightly less invested in the quality of the work that is being produced. So it almost makes extra work for the academic in terms of having to check absolutely everything that's been done. But I think if people really throw themselves in to that kind of task, if they really engage, they're really motivated to do that, there's lots that not only the academic can get from it, but also the student in terms of exposure to what real research actually looks like. I think in research methods classes, it's quite a sanitized environment. You've got this kind of very mechanic, very systematic way of thinking about research that probably isn't quite as accurate as real research looks. So getting exposure to that process actually as it happens is really useful, but also thinking through how people think through analysis plans, how people plan writing, how to work with bigger teams of collaborators as well. So we've had students, for example, at our different institutions who have worked with both of us. And that's what that's ultimately done is obviously worked for us in terms of publications and worked for them in terms of publications, but equally has taught them how to work with people from different institutions, how those collaborations form, what that looks like from an organizational perspective as well. So there's lots of different skills, I think, that if people really want to learn them, if they really want to throw themselves into that context or into that task, then they can get a lot from it. And I think it's that investment. It's more about not just doing it to fill your CV, and more about really throwing yourself into it to get all of the skills that you can from that kind of task.